Yo, what's up? Coming at you, backseat of the car. We're being driven right now, Bali styles, in beautiful, beautiful car. This is the first time. Normally I'm just like finding whatever truck around. And anyway, we're going to speak to a handful of people this afternoon, and I'm about to have a coaching call. And so this is an amazing client called Chris, based out of the UK. I'm just getting the notification that we are about to start. And so I wanted to bring you into the conversation, share some of the highlights that we talk about today. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Is it cool if we do audio for this call?
Yeah, totally. Let me do
Perfect.
that. And how are you, by the way, as well?
I'm amazing. I'm a bit jet lagged. I just got back from a month away from Bali, so I did a week in Mexico and then 3 weeks in New Zealand. All in all, it was a good trip. But yeah, feeling jet lagged. The boys woke up at 2 a.m. this morning, which was right on time with where they would normally wake up in New Zealand time. And so definitely feeling tired today, but really good, man. Excited to talk to you. So what's top of mind for you today? Like, what's the thing that would be most helpful for us to cover?
But as I said in my reply there, the one pager that I've got.
Perfect. We can look over that right now. So let me just go bring that up. So the biggest thing, obviously, with this doc that you've sent me, I'm having a look at it now. This is unnecessary for you to use necessarily in your sales process outside of using it to sell in the DM. So what you want is a simplified version of this that can be a part of your sales process on a call, right? You want to have a simple doc that you're using to present your offer. The biggest thing when you're presenting an offer is that there are so many things you can talk about. What you want to do is focus on the 80-20. What are the biggest needle movers that show them, that give them a sense of confidence? This will in fact move them towards their dream outcome, and it will help them overcome the major obstacles that they're facing in order to get there. That's the biggest thing we're wanting to do on that sales call. And so there are two things about that. The first is we're trying to look at our offer and go, what are the typical biggest needle movers that someone experiences or that we have in our offer that will help someone experience the most amount of progress, so we'll major on them. And the second is when we're talking about it on the call, we want to loop back to things that they've said to us on the call. So for example, let's say you've got your first pillar is around lead generation. A common problem that people have is they're struggling to get clients consistently. So they're going to say something to the effect of like struggling to get enough calls, or struggling to attract the right prospects, or I'm struggling to charge the right prices. So as we talk about our first pillar, which might be lead generation, we then allude to what's in our program, what's in our offer that's going to help them solve that. But then what we do is we talk about the thing they mentioned earlier, that's the biggest pain and the emotional cost of that pain, so that it feels like the perfect fit. It feels like a painkiller for their particular pain that they're in and the problem they're looking to solve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's great. So whenever someone says, let me think about it, you obviously want to do all that objection handling that we talked about before. Yeah. And the biggest thing is, I learned this from a great sales rep called Vanessa Horn. She introduced me to this acronym called BAMFAM. So someone says, I need to talk to my spouse, I need to look over the numbers, I need to think about it. We first on the call want to isolate, what do they need to think about? When are they planning on looking over the numbers? Is this a perfect fit for them? You know, that if they were to go talk to their wife and the wife gave them the green light, they would be jumping in. And then we want to BAMFAM, which is book a meeting from a meeting, right? So we want to make sure that we lock that follow-up call in as soon as possible. What we don't want to have happen is we jump on a call, someone says, this looks great, let me think about it. We send them a document, and now we're in no man's land, right? Where it's like, they might loop back to us in a day, a week, a month. We want to have a closed, like a book end to that process, so that it's like 48 hours, it's 72 hours, where they can look over the doc, they can do whatever they need to do.
But also what I found is that it's, as I put in the next line there, they don't come all at once, but they do come in this order. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, you know, reach for the sun and the moon will be a good stepping point.
I get it, yeah.
So rather than the money being everything, it's really leading to that bigger picture of the lifestyle. But we start with the money. Let's come back and get the money sorted first, so it's more of sort of positioning than a goal in itself.
Totally makes sense. So a quick framework I want to introduce to you around offers and how to position it when it comes to outcomes is, if you think about a triangle with 3 layers. Yeah. On the first bottom layer, and obviously you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We need to have all the physical needs taken care of before we start thinking about how to fulfill our potential in life and all of that. The base level needs are our survival needs, and every single client has them, and every client's one is different depending on their market, the stage of business and all of that. Like a 6-figure coach, for example, their survival needs very different to a 7-figure coach. They still have survival needs, but they're different. And how we characterize survival needs is, firstly, the desire level is it is a need, not a want. And the second thing is that the timing is now. And the metaphor for this level is like a painkiller. As we go up the triangle, three different layers. The second layer is thriving, right? The desire level is it's a want, and the timing is typically later, right? If you think about the metaphor of a vitamin, most of us have a lot of them, and most of us forget to take them, or we take them but we don't expect immediate results. And so we want to have a number of those kind of vitamin level things in our offer so that people know where they're moving towards, but the majority of it is survival need. They go, this is absolutely what I need right now. And the third layer, and I'll briefly talk about it, is what I call kind of the dream layer. And this is like, the metaphor is like a bucket list, right? It's like it's a super nice to have, it's a dream, and the timing is one day, someday. So when I look at these things, I love the idea of the 15K take home profit per month. I would say for many people, this would be survival, meaning like it's a priority. They want it now. They want to figure out how to get it soon. When it comes to time in the business and things like that, for me, with the people I work with, is they are typically maxed out. They're ready to not necessarily throw in the towel, but they've certainly considered it. And so reducing time in the business is a big need. So what you want to make sure is that the people that you're speaking to, it doesn't sound like just a lovely thing that sounds cool. The core part of the core part of the offer must speak to the survival level of your ideal clients. Okay, so I would say 3-day weekends, I would hold that really loosely, meaning like I'm not sure I would make that a cornerstone of your offer if it's not something that your prospects would unprompted bring up to you on a sales call. It does feel vague, but the biggest thing is that from a marketing perspective, it all sounds good, right? None of these are not between good and bad things. These are about essential things and non-essential things. And so we want to pack the core part of what our offer does to match the essential needs that people have. And so, Dan Kennedy has a great quote where he says, we want to enter into the conversation already happening in a prospect's mind. And so when someone's on a sales call, again, we imagine we've unprompted none of this. Like we haven't prompted any of it. We're asking their pains, their problems, their challenges, and they share all those key things. As we're talking about our offer, that should be a perfect match to the things that they said, not us filling their brain with new ideas of like, oh, that would be amazing. So for example, if you said like pillar number 3 is, I'm going to help you create an investment portfolio. Well, for some people, that's a need. They have excess cash, they don't know what to do with it. For many people, that's like that sounds lovely, but it's not a need. And so at the end of the call, they're going to say, let me think about it. Well, this sounds great, but I'm not sure it's right for me. So I would really listen back to these sales calls you're having and going, what are these key themes that are coming up again and again as being big needs, big problems that they want to solve, and then make the core part of the value proposition of the offer be a perfect match to those things. Same with goal number 3 holidays per year. Right? It might be the same deal. Like goal number 2 might be around client acquisition, for example. Maybe they're looking for like 15K profit a month, but do they want to do it without having to do all these different things? Like Hormozi in $100 million offers talks about decreasing effort and sacrifice. So there are so many ways they can make good money, but very few of them are going to have them feeling better than worse, right? Because most people's businesses, as they get bigger, life gets worse and not better. And so what we want to have happen is that they see the dreamland, they see the promised land, and instead of going, hey, we're going to get you to Barbados and it's going to be an amazing vacation, and guess what? You have to swim there. We want to position it like we've given you a first class ticket. Everything is going to be as smooth and as simple as it possibly can be. Obviously, it's got to reflect reality. We don't lie to people. We don't manipulate the truth, but we do position it in such a way that we major on the things that is going to make it easier and simpler for them to get the result.
Yeah.
One of the things that you'll see when we go through Replay today is whenever we're talking about our offers, we want to think about how we present it on 3 levels. I got this from a marketer called Todd Brown. Whenever we talk through our offers, we want to think through functional, experiential, emotional. So functional is this is what it is, right? So for example, if we think about hiring an appointment setter, functional is we will help you get an appointment setter. Very simple, very tangible, easy to understand. Experiential is so they will now book 10 to 15 high quality calls for you every single week, right? That's what it's going to look like for them to experience that particular piece of your program. The emotional piece is what does this feel like now this piece of the offer is in my business. So again, functional, hire an appointment setter. Experiential, this appointment setter is going to book you 10 to 15 high quality calls every single week. Emotional, so you never have to worry about where your next client is coming from and you always have a calendar packed with high quality prospects, right? We want people to picture what success looks and feels like for them inside your offer.
Yeah.
So one of the things you might look at is go like, okay, is the way I'm solving this, is this AI, is this automation, is this team? And then you can really help people understand one of those outcomes, right? So for example, if outcome number one is around, the dream outcome is money, the sub outcome might be around assembling the A team, right? We're going to help you build a business filled with the right people in the right seats where it's running so well it almost runs on autopilot. That would be an outcome that a lot of people would find really attractive. It doesn't, like, it's implied that hours will be reduced, but if the majority of your ideal prospects aren't talking about, I want to get to 20 hours a week or 4 days a week, I wouldn't include it like that. I would more talk about the benefit of having a team, so that they can have less overwhelm, so they can be less stressed, so they can be more out of day-to-day of the business and more the high-level strategic. And as much as you can, you want to use the language that prospects are giving you. What are the consistent pain points and what's the language they're using for that? The last thing I'll say on this, kind of from a high level, is everything I've talked about here is what makes a good offer. It's also what makes great marketing. So if we can get into people's heads, right, talk about how to solve their problems in a language that they understand, that they would use themselves, and we speak to survival needs, all of a sudden our marketing becomes so much more potent, right? Most of us market to vitamin problems, to dream problems, well, not even, I wouldn't even say problems. They're just desires that people have. That sounds nice to have, sounds lovely, but it's not speaking to the core needs that people wake up sweating about in the night. Right? The moment someone wakes up in the morning, there's that sense of impending doom for many people, and you want to be speaking to those particular things. So for me, in my audience, it doesn't matter if they're at 6 figures or at 7, there is typically 3 key things that my audience really speaks to. The first is profit, right? The people that I'm trying to attract have been in the game for a while, whether they're at 30K a month and they've been around there for a couple of years, whether they are at 100K a month, whether they're at 300K a month, profit is an issue. The second thing is simplicity. The longer you're in business, it doesn't matter how big business is, people overcomplicate it, right? They add more offers, they add more funnels, and so people are craving simplicity. And then the third piece is really around the sense of fun. They've lost that sense of, like, I actually enjoy my business. Rather than having a business I'm excited to run, it's one I want to run away from. And so when I talk about that in marketing, what happens is it creates a straight line between marketing and sales. So we want to attract people into our world with marketing that's actually connected to our offer. And this is where I just encourage you to just create content, test ideas, iterate, see what you learn, see where it resonates. Because none of this is, like, creating offers and creating marketing is really frustrating because it doesn't happen in a vacuum. We can't go away for a night in a hotel and get a blank sheet of paper out and map out everything that's going to help us make millions. It's often that we get a direction and then we start iterating in that direction and we start getting clearer as we take more and more action. And so the biggest thing is that you just want to be testing these ideas more and more in the real world, so that as you create, you get clearer, and as you see what resonates, you get clearer. Right? There's that saying, thoughts untangle themselves, passing through the lips and through fingertips, right? So the more you talk it out, the more you write it out, the clearer this offer outcome, the clearer your marketing messaging is all going to get.
Excellent, thank you, Dan. That's the next push. One of the, also in the last call, one of the really, as I was reflecting on it, the useful distinctions was between strategy and skills. I think you said, the strategy is the easy part. What makes it difficult is then it's developing the skills to, in this case, keep putting content out. It's the routine, regular stuff.
I'm so glad to hear. I think this is where most people get stuck, which is it's the deep work of gaining the skills, of working on our own psychology, and actually getting really, really clear, which often takes time, it takes reps, It takes a number of posts, it takes a number of offer presentations for us to go, oh, this is the gold in the midst of the dirt.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
All right, mate. Talk soon. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. So that was a 36-minute, roughly, coaching call. You probably just saw some of the highlights. One of the things that's so interesting, firstly, I moved to audio-only calls a few months ago. Game changer. Previously, I was sat at my desk, like most of us have been, pre-COVID, especially past COVID. And a few months ago, I was talking to a mentor of mine. She's amazing. Her name is Steph. I don't even know her last name. It exists, but I can't remember it. And she was telling me that she hadn't done a one-to-one video call since 2019. And it blew my mind. It was like one of those belief shifting moments that I was like, are you even allowed to do that in coaching, right? And so I'm in a car, I'm on the way to an appointment, and so I love the flexibility with kind of the new era model we talk about, and being able to take it in the car here. But one of the things that's really interesting about coaching, having worked with hundreds of people at this point, is I'll never lose my fascination with the power of coaching, right? Because we often think about coaching as it's just the communication of information. And that's what low-level coaching is, right? Someone comes with a problem, we tell them a whole bunch of things, and some calls are tactical. Like this one was more tactical in nature. But powerful coaching is about shifting beliefs and really influencing people, really not just teaching people how to think and assigning a to-do list, but shifting how someone thinks, right? Or not just what to think, sorry, but shifting them into terms of teaching them how to think. And one of the things that's interesting for me with coaching is the amount of coaching that is really about someone second guessing themselves. They're like, here's what I have, here's what I'm doing, what do you think? And not so much this call, but oftentimes the number one thing I'm trying to solve with someone is that they're just stuck in their head. They're overthinking, like they know the right thing to do, they feel like it's the right next move, it's aligned, they're excited about it, whatever, but they're stuck in overthinking. And so that's the power of coaching, is that oftentimes we can bring new ideas, we can shift beliefs, but sometimes we just reflect back to them that in fact they're not insane, right? And that this thing that they want to do is actually a good idea. And obviously you need to have had experience in it. That's why before you can become a great coach, oftentimes you have to have done the thing or just done lots of coaching to kind of see the patterns. But I love calls like that. I don't take dozens of calls a week by any means, but I have a couple of high-level clients that I work with one-to-one, and oftentimes it's either me just being a sounding board to them. Sometimes it's like high-level mentorship conversations, but yeah, really enjoy it. So love that we are in a car at the moment right now, and I was just able to pull this off and then create a piece of content out of it. So hopefully this video was helpful. You pulled a gem or two, and I'll catch you in another video.